What's up guys, it's OuttBoundz here. We're here on tour at the British Masters and we're at the Wilson truck. We've got a special guest inside, Phil, who's been on tour with Wilson for about 20 years.
I'm sure he's going to tell us some big stories about Padraig.
Yeah, I'm excited for this
I'm excited as well, I'm excited. It's been a long time for him and Padraig, so I bet he's got some special ones.
Let's do it, let's get on there.
So you come on 2 degrees and 24 degrees, but he finds that utilities on some, it's all about having enough clubs and deciding what clubs you need on that course. So take Harrington for example, he might have 29 clubs with him. So every tournament, and then he'll decide on the wind and the course which clubs he's going to put in.
So are many players this week, due to the setup and the condition being a bit wet, changing their setup right this week?
Oh yeah, definitely.
After like
so
US Open and
stuff. So he's looking for a hybrid. He's never played hybrids before, but he wants something that's going to go higher and come down softer. Okay, so because the greens are probably firm anyway because we've had no rain. So if you're pushing in long shots with a 3-iron, you've got to be able to cut the ball. And you see a player that like Hurley hits it right to left. He doesn't hit it left to right. So somebody who does that is not going to be able to cut it high. You know, like you're talking about Tiger or somebody who can use their hands and ball position. You'd have to cut it high to bring it down soft. Whereas a hybrid spins more, flies higher. So on a long shot, you're probably going to get that softer land on the green. I've got a way of building stuff where I'll always, so we have loft and lies for the players. Every player has different loft and lies and specs for their clubs. And Padraig would come in and he'd have his loft and lies. I know his loft and lies virtually off by heart. And he will say, okay, do the loft and lies, Phil, check them, but don't move anything until we've spoken. Okay, so I'll write on a piece of paper. And I've got in my little booklet, I've got a little book, I write them down, and then he'll come in and he'll say, how do you get on with those? Well, Paddy, the 9-iron was 1 degree out, or 1 degree strong, or the 6-iron was that, and a little bit flat. And say, okay, it was doing that. The ball was flying a bit different. Okay, put them back to standard, yeah? The main thing is, don't change them until we've spoken, because he might come around and say, it's not broken, don't fix it. Okay? So that was my way of doing things. That's the standard. And I'd use that as a standard. We got all of our players together and then they integrate together and they like that, it's part of a team. We're a small team. And Padraig would be totally the opposite. And one time, I'll tell you one story. So I was getting all, okay, I've got a little booklet, it's a bit old fashioned now, so I thought I'd get a laptop out. So I got the laptop out, a little Excel file, all the numbers on there. And he brought them in from Loft and Lion. And this was in his peak, you got to imagine, he's like winning majors. So he's like, he's like being near Ballesteros, there's this aura. Anyway, I'd have the laptop there, I thought, right, I'll get all this ready for him. So there's a couple of numbers out, so I put them in red. So basically, everything else is in black, and the ones that are out, I just put them in red by the side. I thought I can tell him that, the ones that are in red, and then he can see it, and then I'll just change them if he wants it, So he came in, and I said, okay, Paddy, done the loft and lies, look, got a computer now. Moving on, Phil, moving on. He goes, I said, the ones in red are the ones that aren't quite right. He went, red, he goes, red. Red, morning, traffic lights, red, can't go if it's red. Red, what do you put in red for? Red. Can't go red. He's going to be thinking about red numbers all morning now. To the point where his caddy, Ronan, who's his brother-in-law, had to take him out of the truck. Let's go and get a cup of coffee, Paddy.
Calm him down.
Calm him down.
Come on, make him forget about it.
Just turn those, put them back in black again. Let's go, come on. So you can imagine that sort of thing. Totally, totally. How something like that can make you, But then, after that he won. So he won a shed load of majors. So then he calmed down, and then it was back to the old, back to the little book again. Well, Paddy, here's the things.
Better. Just still use a book now.
Yeah. With him, classic. Little tiny little book got with all his numbers in.
It's funny, like even when I was playing football, it's like routine. Routine is important.
If you change somebody, especially a sportsman, but anybody. I mean, everybody as you get older, you don't like change.
I used to dress my left leg before my right leg, and I did that all the time. My left,
that's just mad, isn't it?
It was just really, but I just done it
some people go on the pitch though with their left foot first.
I've seen people like hop onto the pitch.
You do that?
I'm not like that.
But you do the
No.
That's what you do when you see Padraig.
Here he comes.
Can't do anything wrong here. Can't move with the stages.
Grips are another thing as well, because players all have different grips, but they all have them put on in a different way. You know, so some players will have, you know, they might have 4 tapes underneath, they might have 3 tapes, 2 tapes. Padraig has no tape, so you have to put half an inch underneath.
Really?
I'll show you his grip, because his grips are special. They're a leather, and these grips, they go, the wetter it gets, the stickier they get.
Okay.
Okay, they're about 35 quid each. So that's his grip. So you hold that, feel how sticky that is.
Oh yeah.
So it's sticky
feels
already.
Like something's on it.
Yeah, well there is. There's some sort of chemical on it. They put
It doesn't go
in.
on your fingers though.
No,
really.
no, it doesn't stay on your fingers.
That's really grippy.
But when that gets wet, all you do is get a wet towel and you dab
and
it,
it gets grippy.
and it gets grippier.
You feel like you could play without a glove with
I
that.
feel like
Yeah, well, that's the
really
point. Yeah, that's the point. Because some people do. So those grips.
Wow.
What's that?
So basically,
Leather.
yeah, this leather. We call that like a rib. So if you had that in a position there, in exactly the same position, you can imagine, you can feel that when you grip the club. So you know, oh, exactly, that's how I want it. So one player might not have it like that because of the way they hit the ball. So Padraig has it like that.
Really?
No. Yeah, he has it like that, just a little bit that way, so that you can just see the little bit of brown underneath the silver there.
And that's how he wants it.
Exactly. If it's not like that, you won't play with it.
Really?
And he'll pick it up like this in his hand. So when I do his grips, you have to stand there with me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd put one grip on, he'll go.
So that rib is just on
Next one.
the side of
Next
his
one.
like.
It's because
You can feel it
his
just
bad
like-
shot. It's a bit.
Oh, so he wants his face shut down almost.
Yeah,
or
he
is
doesn't
the
want it
other
to turn over because his bad
way?
shot
Okay.
goes left.
Yeah, I see.
So you
it's
got to think when you know, really, grips influence where the ball goes.
Yeah.
If you've got big hands, you don't necessarily want big grips because it depends how you hit the ball.
Yeah, it's
You know,
true.
if you're hitting it right to left or left to right, then you can change that by the size of the grip.
So then, would it depend? Like, obviously, some golfers go on the course and then one day they might be hitting it right, for example. Would you change it for him then?
You wouldn't change the grip,
Yeah.
you'll change the lie.
Okay.
You might change the lie. So upright lie makes the ball go left,
Yeah.
flat lie makes the ball go right. Because when it's flatter, okay, it'll flip the club open at impact like that. The heel comes in later, and basically you hit the ball towards the toe more.
So he would never ever change that grip.
Well, he's played these grips.
How long has he had that?
He's had these grips now. He plays these grips now for probably about 13 years now.
How did he come across them?
Somebody came, like they always do, somebody comes across or from somewhere and says, oh, I've got this new grip, it's revolutionary, it's made of leather, but they're great.
They are nice.
They're great, yeah.
Very
I mean, if
sticky,
you, yeah, so you can play with those. Or if you're playing in the rain, you don't have to worry about the grip slipping, it won't
Yeah.
slip.
Yeah.
You want a grip like that, you're done.
So like obviously playing, being on the trip for that many years and having all these top players, you must have some stories, sort of a funny story. Some of these players and what they've done.
Yeah, mainly like.
Maybe you can't disclose it.
Mainly with him. I mean, him, you know,
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Mainly with him. You know, he's probably one of the funny. He's had the funniest situations. You know, and like, I mean, we were in Wales once at Celtic Manor, and at Celtic Manor, I don't know if you've been to Celtic
I've
Manor.
played it, yeah.
Been down the bottom of the hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we used to park the trucks at the top of the hill.
Okay.
We didn't used to go down the bottom of the hill because there was nowhere to put them down
Yeah.
there. So we'd have all the trucks. This was a different truck then. We used to have this black 7.5 ton truck at the top, and as always, rubbish weather. You know, it's pouring with rain, it's blowing
Wales,
with
it's
gale.
horrible.
It's like I'm in the truck, the door's closed, the truck's moving like this. You know, I'm thinking, oh my God, they've closed the course, everything. And I've been in the truck probably for a couple of hours. I'm thinking, God, I'm not going to see anybody today. You know, this is like dire. Next thing, there's a knock on the door. Can hardly open the door. There's Padraig and his caddy out there.
Oh, really?
With like a broken umbrella, and he's like absolutely drenched through, right? And he says, "Hey Phil, come in for a minute." Hey, so he comes in. So he comes in, and he lays on one side, and his caddy lays on the other side, and they go to sleep for 2 hours. I was just like, I'm in there thinking, he's fast asleep. He's got his cap over his face, and you know, a towel on. The caddy's got a towel on, and they're just fast asleep, and they're just sleeping there for over 2 hours. Yeah.
So you
And
like
he gets
seeing-
up, and he gets up, and the first thing he says is, "Phil, have you done the grips?" No. You know, it's just to
Yeah.
pee me off, just to make me, you know.
Phil, in those situations when he's been at the highest pressure points when he's going to win a major, how's he then? How does he react? Is he still like full of banter, or is he? You can see that he's in his zone.
Well, to see him in his zone, his eyes go. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen his eyes. He puts his starey eyes on, so he's not,
So
you know,
him
like
riding
like
guts.
like dead straight. So when he's walking around, he's like his eyes go,
Yeah.
and you know he means business. You know,
Yeah.
he's like in it. He's got, how he played last week with 2 eagles and 5 birdies out of 7 holes is unbelievable.
playing really
So
good
he
golf
can
now.
still play fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? I always say to Trey, like, what is it? Like, because sometimes you see golfers play like amazingly, and then they just kind of like, it's almost like they drop off the cliff, and then they can come back.
Well, it's got to be mental, isn't it? It's all mental, because they've trained their swing to be, you know, the same all the time. The thing is, with an old school player, because they can shape the ball, they're not hitting this robotic swing. Whereas, you know, you can walk along the range and see a lot of, you know, robotic swings where the players want to hit it straight all the time. So the swing is always the same. Whereas somebody like Padraig, or, you know, the old school, the Montgomerys, the people like that, they do shape the ball. You know, and they do say, oh, I'll get around that tree, oh, I'm going to bend it around the tree, or I'm going to put it there, or I'm going to punch a little one up and hang it on the wind. You know, there's lots of different things they can do. So those swings can go wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they can go wrong more than somebody who has just gone,
Straight,
has learned to do that all the time, every single time. So, you know, like he said, I've been waiting 500, you know, tournaments for this one round, for this back nine to turn up like that. And he did when I'm chasing the lead to win an event. And it happens. Oh, it's totally mad in golf. So, you know, but on the other side, it's one time we were at the Open. It was actually when he won the Open. I think it was 2007. We had a driver, and it was one time where we had, you know, a really good driver. It was called the DD6 Plus, and I turned up and got these new heads, and I said to him, I've got some heads, and he said, okay, I'll test it. And in those days there were no adjustable drivers, so you got like 6 drivers made up, right, all glued made up. This one's 8.5 degree, this one's 7. He goes, and he's on the range. He says, I need a 7 degree one, you know, I want 7. And in those days, 7 degree went 7 degree.
Yeah.
It didn't go up in the air, you know, not like now. And he'd go, right, I want to try 7 degree. I go, 7 degree. You know, I'm there, there's a couple of other people there. I said, I think I'm going to need a 7 degree, you know. Yeah. Anyway, he's hitting a 7 degree. He's duck hooking it left all the time, yeah. So he's hitting this, and then he goes, I said, try the 8.4. He's going 8.4. And I'm looking thinking, wow, that's a great ball flight, yeah. You know, in those days, it's probably hitting about 280, something like that. It's quite a long way in those days, 290. Anyway, he's hitting it, I think, fantastic. Anyway, he turns around and he says, okay, Phil, give me the 7 degree. Takes the 7 degree driver and goes into the first round with the 7 degree driver. Okay. Doesn't hit a fairway. He's like, I think he's something like 5 shots off the lead or something, and
why did he do that?
He's come back, and his wife Caroline always walks around with him, especially at the Open, yeah. And she's like tough as anything. She walks around with him, and she comes back, and he says, "Man, I think that was okay, you know." And she says, "I don't know what course you were playing. What I saw, he didn't hit one fairway."
Get the
so he turns around to me, looks at me, of course. He goes, "Why did you give me that driving field?" I said, "Why did you give me that?" Back on the range. So back on the driving range, straight after 8.4, you know, boom, like boom.
Did he use it for the rest
I
of
said,
it?
that's it, that's the one. Green light, you don't have anything else. That is the one. Yeah.
And he took it for the rest of the tournament.
Took it, won the tournament, won the Open, and that. So, you know, you can imagine.
Influential.
Well, no, but it's just
his wife he's talking about.
Yeah. And I remember him telling us a story. I remember him telling us after that they went to I think they went home, or they went to the hotel, one of them, because one of the Opens, 2007 or 8, I can't remember which one it was, I flew with him in a private jet to Dublin to the party. He said to me, "What are you doing, Phil?" So I'm going home, take the truck home now. He says, "Go to Gatwick, it's a private jet waiting, we're going to the party." So he was serving me vodka Red Bulls in a private jet.
No Guinness.
Yeah. Vodka Red Bulls, yeah. And we were up all night until 8 o'clock the next morning, straight to the airport again, back home. Yeah. But that night, I think it wasn't that one, it was the one after. His wife, they went to bed anyway, went to sleep. And he wakes up in the middle of the night. He goes, Caroline, oh, this dream, I dreamt I won the Open. She said, "You did?" You said, "There's the trophy on the mat." And then she's got the trophy on the end of the bed. You imagine the trophy sitting there, like on the chest of drawers. You know, it's fantastic.
Amazing.
So he was like, he's had all the funniest stories, you know. And he's still like that now. He'll try and wind me up now.
Cool. Phil, thanks so much for your time, man. I really
appreciate it.
Thanks,
if you
Phil.
need anything,
We could
let us
talk
know.
for ages.
Yeah, well, yeah, I could tell loads of stories, but I mean, you can't.
I know you're busy, man. You got players demanding you.
We've got a little
You've got
team.
your clubs to fix.
Yeah, I mean,
I won't give you my number.
wicked. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you
If
very
you
much.
need anything, let us know. Chloe will sort you out, and we'll get you something if you need anything special.
You hear that, Chloe?
We
Yeah,
can
right,
sort
You
that
said you're going to sort me out.
Maybe we should check everything he said. I'll sign it off because
Sign it off.
he gets a bit carried away with his experience on tour.
This is a sweet shop, isn't it? Really?
I want to get some of them grips.
Oh, these are
No?
these are what you call rocking horse. You can't get